I'll just unmute and see if that works. All right, I've unmuted.
Yeah, that's coming through on the sound now. So
that's coming through all good.
So did you want to test like the video as in the chambers of you guys sitting around the table?
Yeah, we can quickly test that. Is that all right, Ken?
Yeah, you can.
Yep.
What you need to do, sorry.
All good. Alright, so I'll do a transition, I think, is the one we need to do. Go to there.
Yeah, it's looking good on YouTube. Facebook sometimes takes a little bit longer.
I'll keep waving until you tell me it's okay.
Yeah, I can see you now.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Alright, transitioning back. Perfect. Alright. Sounds like we're ready to rock and roll.
Okay, thanks very much, Matt.
No worries, thank you for your time, Melissa. Quick. No, okay.
Hello. We can't, what's the go with that?
So, what?
Sorry, Alison, if you can just bear with us for a minute. No, I've just sent one for the whole day, Alison. So you can go out and jump back into it. Yeah. Okay, we've got you now.
Does that look better on your side?
So you can see the room, Alison? Okay, perfect. And we can see you.
And if we go back to here. So you should just be seeing the holding slide now. Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Okay.
So Alison will then see anything that you normally would then put up through that?
Yeah, well, I've got stuff. Unfortunately, I've got a whole pile of stuff to pull up on the minutes screen
Okay.
that Alison isn't going to see. Yeah, yeah, Alison, I've got obviously the alternate motions to pull up, but I've got to pull them up on the minutes computer so that they're going live. So I think I better just send everything to you, email everything to you, because I can't share that with you. So how about I do that and then you've at least got them? Okay, all right, well, I'll go back and I'll go back and email that to you. So you have that. Yeah, yeah. So I'll send that to you, uh, because yeah, I just can't share because I've got to put it up on the other screen so that it's going out to the public. So I'll send that to you. Fran's just come back in the room and
Hello, Alison. Because
um,
you sound good.
she's got a nice background.
Yes. You don't look very well. Maybe you should have given it a miss today. Don't tell me about East Point.
Which is what I'm just about to say, Alison. So Fran will declare her conflict. So I won't say, I'll pull that up on the screen, but I won't bother sending you that because that's just a standard conflict statement. But I will send you the other stuff because I can't share that with you. Yeah. So I'll go and do that shortly and we should be good. Now, okay, thank you. See you soon. Bye.
See ya.
Now, Matt.
Yep.
Yes, you are. Morning. Bruce.
Morning.
Morning.
That's my bloody bottle, hey? The glass one we had with that on it. Yeah, I filled it and took it to something. It might have been down at JCC and I must have left it there.
What?
The glass water bottle.
Oh.
I really like that water bottle. I lost it.
Pam sent me an email. I got in there. She said, "Did you get my email?" I said, "No." Yeah, she said, "They said hold it down for 30 seconds."
And that worked.
My life, come on, people.
What worked?
Who
My
changed
computer
that
has
rule?
been. My computer said, "Oh, we need to restart." So I said, "Okay." So I give it a restart at 7:30, and 11:30 last night it was still restarting. God, I was hoping I could get out of having to do anything because all my notes were on here.
No.
These
How
people.
nice is that set you in? It's beautiful. There's even gold, salt and sugar in it.
Where?
Yeah, you can't have any of it back.
I don't want it back.
Good,
I was
just
going to
making
give
sure.
it to you and he's like,
Yeah,
no,
that
no,
bitch
I
can't have
won't
those
give it.
glasses. You tell her no.
Justin, when have I ever asked for something bad?
Still.
Morning.
Hello.
Hello.
I originally had the green jacket on. I was like, what do you watch for the same one?
Hey, guys are mighty roots. No,
I can probably dodge one.
I think just about everybody here's got one of these jackets now.
I think I like to.
I haven't.
well, I went and bought this one
do.
and another one. Morning. Morning. How are you?
Yeah.
Sure, it's not the glass of wine.
Okay.
Yeah, yes. Sorry, good call.
How are we, children? Are we all good? Sorry?
Yeah.
Talking to me or to Kylie?
Hello. Hello. Well, whoever wants to answer, I guess. Not
None of
today
my
would be
notes
nice.
saved again.
Sorry?
None of my notes from last night saved. Yeah. My computer started shutting down at 8:30 and was still shutting down at 11:30.
Good morning. Good, good.
Okay.
Andrew Curtis came back about that capital listing for this year. We haven't given him a list.
Yeah.
Oh, we have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Morning.
Okay.
Morning.
Justin.
I,
You feeling better, Karen?
yeah.
A bit better today. That's good.
all right, I just wasn't clear that we'd actually sent it.
Yeah, I sent it last week, Angela got it to me, so, and then, I just flagged it once we got through that, we were done sending the design projects.
Okay.
We can make a start doing it.
What he's asking is, he really needs lot and have all the addresses,
Okay.
not addresses. So we'll have to, I don't know how we can do that, but, because we don't have that necessarily every project.
And the design, though, I think it has a lot of play.
Oh, yeah.
It is, so there's a lot of play.
Well, lots of them, so,
Yeah, lots of play.
and not in freehold plans, so. It just probably sounds like a bit of work to put together, but we might have to. At least, wonder if someone could go through and pick on a map, and that'll give us a clue where the centre of the project is.
Do we have software that allows to do?
Or
GIS?
just on our GIS system on radio.
Yeah. I'm not sure. So is your team still get Angela on to look into that, or how do we?
Oh, yeah.
My
we'll
God, this is slower than me on a Sunday morning. Bloody hell, come on, girlfriend.
What's it doing? Just spinning?
Just, I need to print stuff off.
You could like try and force close it and start it again.
It'll take even longer.
Then I'll be still sitting here at 11 o'clock waiting for, hello. Each of a thing.
You tell her. Yeah, we're all having a lovely
Justin
day
was
today.
saying much worse than that last night when his wouldn't shut down.
And then I said to him, the IT guy said to hold it for 30 seconds. Did you get my email? No. And he did it, and of course it worked.
Of course it worked. Because we both tried it, and I'm like, the rule is you hold it in for 8 seconds and it should shut down. Holding it down, didn't work, it just restarts again. Oops.
30 seconds,
I
apparently.
don't think he appreciated my importance.
No, I thought he was a bit, even his email, I thought, I think he's a bit cross about this.
They both Portman jackets.
I said, I think everybody here has one of them now at least.
Because I've got that exact colour. Is that a Portman jacket? Yeah, I've got that. I've got that exact jacket.
The Pauline's got the green one as well.
Red?
Yeah, there's this blue, there's pink.
Yeah, I've got
Got
it.
the pink.
Yeah,
I
but
don't have
pink.
one.
I've got it.
Well, you should now get one, Jim. You're falling a bit
Do
behind
they
the
have them in
fashion
my
states.
size?
Well, you could
They're
get.
Portmans. Check it out.
I bought the green one and I put it on this morning, but my shoes were a bit uncomfortable. I had the green, and I thought, oh, Paul's might wear the green one, so I changed to the one that she hasn't got the blue.
I have to check the coordinate jacket colours.
Yeah. And Paul's got a pink one, and Fran's got the Portman's one, but a different pink one.
Yeah,
with
that's
similar colours. It's like everybody's going to be the same.
I think it's good because you're so used to wearing for me black jackets.
It's nice
to
having some
have
bright colours, right?
Yeah.
Can we just mention that to whomever decides the uniform colour for the staff?
I love, well, the teal
Charlie's
shows.
going, so I'm staying at that.
Black is, I'm not a hairdresser or I don't work at the Met. I hate wearing black.
A teal jacket. I got a teal, so Portman's have got a really nice satin, like really dressy, double-breasted jacket in teal.
Nice.
I got that one.
Yeah, they have some, I like Portman's, they have
Yeah,
nice
they're
colours.
good. They're not overly good. These were 30% off today.
Yeah, I got one on special.
Yeah. We both got lavender, and Ange both got the lavender colour, so it's like everybody needs to coordinate. What colour are you wearing today?
We'll work it out one council meeting and we'll just come
Oh,
in the
come in.
brightest coloured jackets we can possibly find. We'll be like,
That'd be cool. We can have a rainbow council meeting.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
My friend. Try and get everyone in different colours.
Yeah, we'll just have to make sure we're not wearing the same colours.
We all wear pink.
Yeah. I was just gonna have another look read.
Yeah.
I think it is, but I'm gonna just.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's changed, I'll just pick one.
Did it restart, Justin?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Smarty pants.
Oh, I had to ask the question. I didn't know.
You should have seen me last night. I'm like,
Were you a little bit upset?
it just sat there with the spinning wheel of death for several hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I really need to get my notes finished. And then all my notes are not there anymore. That's okay. Life's like that, cripple whipple I used to say.
Oh, yeah, I would have missed it first time. That's what it's a duty as trustee.
Yeah, perfect.
David's still, he's outside, I think. Oh, that's a little too.
Justin, do you know?
And if you want, you can go next to me.
He's annoying me. He's annoying.
Walked around. You don't look Mediterranean.
Three directors on the anyway. It's very interesting.
Oh, one just. One
Yeah, I just
truck.
Yeah, sometimes the Snickers worse, right?
It says a lot.
Yeah, it says a Snicker is an uncontrollable pent up, thought.
Did you see the
I
council?
could be laughing legitimately at the budget report I'm reading right
Yeah,
now.
but you just admit that.
Did you see the
I
council?
was definitely snickering when he said.
Awarded himself.
That's fair on that.
I'm reading about it.
G'day.
Did you see the council report? I like it. Young Corey writing.
What were you doing at County Workshop this morning?
Yeah,
They're doing it like a across the.
Radio.
Big stars.
Yeah, and they were all on
Might have been
my
there, might have been about them. They do that when it's a milestone.
I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
that was young Corey,
Yeah,
Ryan's son.
he's a pretty flashy kid.
That was a good photo.
He was, I took it, but he was, I said, right up, because he was right around, popping wheelies on the fence of the building. I said, just right up, see if you can ride down the steps.
Did he run up the stairs first? Yeah, he. Did he ride up them or did he manual load? Did he?
No, he rode.
Ride up them. The 29-inch tyre. It's very easy to roll it.
Wasn't a problem. He turned up at the end and showed him. But yeah, it was good. Yeah. No, he hasn't got it. He was pretty good. It's not feeling. No. He came in with the cat, but might end up going home. Yeah. Good. Yeah, headaches. Yeah. Dizziness. Mick just hung over him to get him. None of us are. None of us are, no?
Hey, how are we? Hey,
That's morning, Justin.
yeah. That's good. Thank you.
Get it all out now.
Be there for months.
It's terrible. And whenever you cough, anybody looks like you.
Sort of an environment where it
Yeah.
doesn't sound good. Yeah.
Yeah, you look like a pariah. I went to the chemist yesterday and I was pretty much the only person not wearing a mask, and it occurred to me that everybody in here is sick
Yep.
and I should probably wear a mask.
The video's coming online now, everyone.
Is this
Nah. Oh, that's what
Him
it's
is wearing
like.
it.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
a
not
few
noise.
people, yeah.
It's not? It's not
I
live.
wasn't making a statement.
Okay,
I was
do we need that to
just
hear?
Ready?
Morning. No, we're not here.
Hi, Alison, can you hear us? Yeah, I know, it's not live. I don't know why it's not.
Where's it tied?
I'll just mute you for a couple of minutes, Alison.
Live feed. It's not good. I don't know whether one of the third will start on the meeting.
I have a problem with the live feed.
Again? Yeah,
It's not working.
it's not live, unfortunately. I can certainly start it all down, shut it down, start again, but it'll take a few minutes.
Adjourn the start of the meeting for 5 minutes.
Agreed.
Hi Alison, are you right to hear us? Thank you very
Okay,
much.
I'll just check we're still live. Morning councillors, morning CEO and staff, and ladies and gentlemen. Let us acknowledge the fact that the land on which we meet and the land that we proudly call home has seen a human occupation dating back for about 2,500 generations. And in that acknowledgement, we pay our respects to the traditional custodians and honour their elders past, present and those emerging. This council meeting is being streamed live, we hope. It's on YouTube, but not Facebook at the moment. It's being recorded and published in accordance with the council's standing orders. Welcome to our online audience. Welcome also to members of the public who are in our gallery today. By attending this meeting, you're giving your permission for your voice and your image to be streamed live and recorded in accordance with the council's published standing orders. And we're also required to tell you that you may be subject to legal action if your actions or comments are deemed inappropriate or unacceptable, which I'm sure they're not. So thanks very much. I declare the meeting open. Thank you for your forbearance while we got those technical details sorted out. Our minister today has called in sick. So let us together seek a blessing as we open this meeting. Lord, help us to be strong, for our community depends on us. Help us to conduct ourselves in the spirit of truth and compassion. Guide our actions to deliver fair and reasonable outcomes. Bless our officers and staff, and watch over the people of our region. We ask this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
We need a motion that Councillor Jones attend the meeting today via Zoom, and we've got Councillor Jones there. Somebody moved. Councillor Hassan moved, second by Councillor Townsend. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. Welcome, Councillor Jones. We can see you online, sitting in the Bavarian Alps by the looks of it. There's nobody else on council business. Apologies. Councillor Seymour needs to be granted leave of absence for today's meeting. He's got a medical issue. Could somebody move that Councillor Seymour be granted leave of absence? Councillor Green moves, seconded by Councillor Bonaventura. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried. Councillor Green has requested leave of absence for the council meetings on the 27th of July and the 10th of August. Would somebody like to move that they be granted? Councillor May moves, seconded by Councillor Mann. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried. Thank you. Are there any condolences? No condolences. Conflicts of interest? I think, Councillor Mann, you've got a conflict of interest at 11.4.2. You'll step out of that. Any other conflicts of interest today? None, thank you. Confirmation of the minutes. The minutes of the ordinary meeting of the 22nd of June have been circularised. They're also included in this agenda. And there's been no questions raised on that. Would somebody like to move then that those minutes of the ordinary meeting of the 22nd of June be adopted? Councillor Mann moves. Seconded by Councillor Townsend. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried. Thank you. Confirmation of the minutes of the special budget meeting of the 22nd of June. Those minutes are also included in this agenda. There's been no... There was because 4.8.1 did not upload when it was loaded up into the system. That's now been in the system. I think you've all got that. That was the actual motion, the move and the seconder. So 4.8.1 is now included. Everybody got that?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Somebody like to move it? And Councillor Bonaventura moves, seconded by Councillor May. Those in favour? Any against? Carried. Thank you. Business arising out of the previous minutes. It's included on your agenda at page 139. We'll note that there's a couple of pending items there, and we'll note that that's continuing to be raised until it's finalised as terms of business arising. No Merrill minutes. Consideration of the committee reports and recommendations. The Local Disaster Management Group meeting was the 23rd of May, and the minutes are included in this agenda. Would somebody like to, any questions on that? Somebody like to move? Councillor Townsend moves, Councillor England seconds. Councillor Townsend? Okay. If there's no questions, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion is carried. Thank you. Draft minutes of the Visual Arts Advisory Committee meeting, and they're included in this agenda today. Are there questions? No questions? Somebody like to move? Councillor Townsend moves. Councillor Green seconds. Councillor Townsend?
Sorry, I've Didn't put any notes on that
Right.
one, but yeah.
Okay, it's pretty well
It's
straightforward.
It's very straightforward and
Okay. Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? Motion is carried. Thank you. Correspondence and officers' reports, 11.1.1, the Office of the Mayor and CEO monthly report for June. CEO.
Thank you, Worship. So unfortunately, we did have one lost time injury in June, which meant that we finished out the financial year with a total of 13 lost time injuries and 212 days lost collectively. Our June report also includes our quarterly safety stats as well this time around and shows good outcomes in most of our core measures, including our site safety inspections and manager safety interactions. I note that some of our more recently included measures, such as contractor spot checks and incidents reported on time, are still not achieving our desired target as yet, and further focus will be applied in these areas. I would also like to call out the great results achieved by our Organisational Services Department in this report, being the only directorate to have no overdue corrective actions as at the end of the month. And you may recall that not long ago they had quite a high number that was regularly overdue, and the dedication and focus that's been applied to this, particularly in the area of property services, is very evident, and I'd like to thank the Director and staff for their efforts here.
Yeah.
During June, the Temporary Business Improvement Team also concluded their activities, and that was investigative work really into how we can do change more effectively here at Mackay Regional Council, and importantly, how we can improve the experience for our teams as they go through change processes. The result of their work has been a draft business case that's currently sitting with the Executive Leadership Team for review and comment before then being shared with Council for a decision. Happy to take any questions.
Questions for the CEO? Councillor Bonadury.
Got several, Your Worship.
Yep.
The first one being that with today being such an important day, State of Origin, I note the CEO, who normally appears to barrack for blues, is currently wearing maroon. Could I just get a bit of an explanation on that, please?
Complete oversight on my part, Councillor. I should be wearing blue, you're correct.
But there is still hope, Your Worship. Look, on a serious matter, I noticed that in the CEO's overview there'll be $15 million has been received as part of the waste levy for the year. And will this affect our financial results for the 21-22 year?
Well, that's a good question. CEO.
Thank you, Your Worship. It did give us concern, like a bit when we received that gift just prior to the end of the financial year, but we have now confirmed that that waste levy advance payment can actually be recognised in the years to which it's attached, so it won't actually impact this year's budget, or last year's budget, I should say.
There was a bit of angst when that came in.
Thank you for the clarification. The second question is, we received $20.79 million in grant funding during the year, taking our yearly total to 50 million. The large amount received in June was the Department of Environment and Science. No, sorry, I've asked that question. I apologise for that. So, final question. Page 158, the lead indicators break up of the program and contractor spot checks, and I know the CEO did touch on it briefly. It says target for waste spot checks on contractors is 6, percentage completed 0. Can I just get an explanation on that one, please?
CEO.
I'm not able to answer that. I'm not sure what the impact was there. I know there might have been some staffing impacts in getting that completed. But
Director?
Yeah, through your worship, yeah. We've had some issues with man coordinator there at the moment, and then we've had a number of staff on accessing leave for that period, so that's the main contributor why that wasn't met during that month. Previously they have been meeting that requirement, but it's just a resourcing issue.
Right, thank you.
Further questions for Councillor Battle?
My question is regarding our contractors, I suppose. I noticed we've got quite a few crews out fixing gravel roads, which is great. In conversation with one of the road control guys this morning, it just come to mind, if we have an accident where we are working on a road and a vehicle is involved in an accident where we're controlling, is that included in our statistics, and what investigations do we do as a result of that to find out the cause?
CEO.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I understand that if if an accident or an incident of any sort happens within the area that we are in charge of or we are controlling, we would report it. It would potentially be included as a non-staff member, incident or accident, dependent on what actually the cause was there, whether it was something that had fallen to council that we had contributed to the fault of the accident, or if it was something that was on the non-staff member. We would typically record all incidents and injuries that happen on sites that are within our control.
And sorry, the subsequent question is, if it was caused by inattention of a road control or something like that, that would be reported to us as councillors.
It would be within the safety incident reports that come through the monthly reporting process.
Thank you.
Any further questions for the CEO? No further questions. Somebody like to move the adoption of the report? Councillor May, seconded by Councillor Green. Councillor May.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I won't go into the safety, as the CEO has covered off that quite extensively. I would like to mention the nearly $50 million that Council has been able to receive in this last financial year in grants and subsidies, which makes an extremely high amount of money, which takes a lot of pressure off our ratepayers, that we don't have to find those dollars from our rates revenue. I think it's also important to note the business improvement team and the operations that they've been able to achieve through the while they've been in existence. So, and particular interest to me is completing the industry best practice research. Be looking forward to receiving the outcomes of that, and also discussing with other councils their change management journeys along the way. So, as the CEO said, the report is with the executive leadership team, and I'm sure that council will be getting a briefing on that once it's been disseminated through the executive leadership team. Our emergency management team have been very busy this month with attending the two master classes that were held during last month. And that's about the learning different techniques in dynamic planning in an operational disaster management context, along with building and leveraging networks and relationships through effective crisis communication and engagement. They were very well attended. It was a regional activity. I did attend those two master classes myself, and a number of our staff did as well. The team have been very proactive this month in promoting the emergency management department and the work that they do, and in particular the person-centred emergency plan. So they had a stall at the Homeless Expo. They also collaborated with Isaac Regional Council, introducing them to we'll call it the PSEC plans, as well as Selectability, the Serena Youth Centre. So there's some really great collaborations going on across our region and interregional in the promotion of getting people aware that those plans are there to be utilised, and assisting people to develop their own plans in the case of an emergency. Our SES operations have also been a little bit busy this month with a couple of call-outs, traffic control job on a road crash near Kamala, as well as a land search of an injured person at Youngla. I think the thing to note here is the SES membership continuing to grow. 10 new members being onboarded this month, and of course another 4 new applications in the process. So all in all, really good report from the Office of the Mayor and CEO.
Thank you very much, Councillor May. Speaker against? Any other speakers? Councillor Bottomich, you're speaking for.
Yes, Your Worship. 2 points. One, firstly, I think it's important to mention the massive turnaround in our workers' compensation claims, reducing from about 900,000 in the 2021 year to down around 200,000. This result is a testament to our entire workforce for their concerted effort in putting safety first. I would like to think the CEO may consider making reference and congratulate staff on some stage in her communications with them. But one other point I'd like to mention is part of that grant money we received. There's a couple there that stand out. One is the Department of Industry, Innovation and Science, and it's for building better regions funding for fishing facilities, and that's to finalise all the CCTV camera. That's the final payment in that, so that's great. The other one I think, or two there that need mentioning, is the Department of Transport and Main Roads black spot funding for Glenelg, Richmond Road and Pioneer Street intersection of around 357,000. That's for improving that intersection. And I use that a fair bit, so it is good to see that they're getting some improvements in left turn lane, etc., etc. The other one is just up the road from that, and it's also for black spot funding for the Glenalla-Richmond Road intersection. And that's the one, council, as you remember, is a little bit offset. And Councillor Bella may even remember part of the Transport and Drainage Advisory Committee quite a few years ago. We did look at a roundabout for that area, and it was put through under an application for black spot funding. It's finally made the numbers, so I'm very pleased to see that happen. So 902,000 will go along, or 920,000 will go a long way to getting that underway in the future. Very good to see.
Thanks, Councillor Bonaventura. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Green speaking for.
Yeah, speaking for. Thank you, Your Worship. Just to drill down a little bit further to what Councillor May was saying about our emergency management key updates there in regards to local organisations taking up our emergency management staff for further training. So Mackay Regional Council's person-centred emergency preparedness program has been nationally recognised as one of the best practice models for preparing our community for emergencies. And as Councillor May touched on, Selectability is a mental wellbeing and suicide prevention organisation. They reached out to our staff to have further training and to help establish a safety awareness practice in their business. And in doing so, they identified that there were 2 support houses in flood zones without contingency plans within their organisation. So I just reach out to those organisations that do look after our most vulnerable in our community to reach out to council, have this emergency management staff come and speak to their businesses and work on a plan to help to support our most vulnerable in times of emergency. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Green. Councillor Bella, did you want to speak? Oh, okay, sorry. Are there any other speakers? No other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? And any against? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. 11.1.2, the council attendance of the 2022 Disaster and Emergency Management Conference, 25-26th of July. This went out to all councillors. Only 2 applications were received. And that's the motion then is to approve Councillor Englert and Councillor Hassan to attend the 2022 Disaster and Emergency Management Conference on the Gold Coast, 25-26 July. Any questions? Somebody like to move? Councillor Mann moves. Councillor Townsend seconds. Councillor Mann. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. Thank you. Adoption of council policies. We've got 3 policies to think about here and 1 for rescission. Because there were some questions raised about these, I intend to do these one at a time. And so the first policy is the Councillor Investigations Policy, policy number 101. Now, this is not new. We're required by law to have this policy. It's simply been revised after being in existence for a couple of years, put out in the new format. There's no changes. Are there questions? No questions? Would somebody like to move the adoption then of this policy? Councillor May moves, seconded by Councillor Englert. Councillor May?
I don't think I need to speak to it.
Are there any speakers? Councillor Ballet, you wish to speak?
I would like to lay this motion on the table. I've got concerns about certain areas of this this policy, and while it is a policy we've had for quite a while, I think that it doesn't hurt to go through it. And I think it's something that we need to investigate and discuss.
It's a procedural motion to lay it on the table. Those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried. We'll lay that on the table pending further investigations to the Council Investigations. Policy 2 is 111, Sporting Achievement Acknowledgement Program. Are there questions? Somebody like to move its adoption? Councillor Green moves, seconded by Councillor Englert. 3-4, okay. Councillor Green.
Thank you, Worship. This is a new policy brought forward by the Community Lifestyles Program. We grow homegrown talent by the bucket load here in Mackay and Mackay region, and we value the contribution that these high-level supporting personnel provide to our region. So this policy is just to guide the administration of recognising these sporting achievements and in a way that's fair and equitable and transparent. So I support this policy.
Okay. Thank you. Speaker against? Any other speakers? I'll put the I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. Policy is adopted. Policy number 116, climate change. Are there questions? No questions? Somebody like to move the adoption then of this? Councillor May moves, seconded by Councillor England. Councillor May.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. This is a new policy for the council, and as we've seen and heard in the news, that climate change is all over this space. So for council to actually adopt a policy is a good step forward for us. We have had in existence our sustainability and environment strategy for some time now, and that's due to be renewed as well. So to have a policy that guides the formulation of what council does as far as looking after our, not just our natural assets, but our built assets as well, and how we manage our organisation as a whole in regards to climate change, our planning. There's a whole lot of aspects of it, and I think it's really important that we have a guiding document to enable that to happen efficiently.
Thank you. Councillor May. Speaker against? Councillor Bell speaking against.
I would actually like to lay this one on the table as well. I agree that we need a climate change policy. I have concerns that this one does not enshrine safeguards for anyone that's adversely affected by moves by state and federal government.
There's a procedural motion to lay on the table. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. Thank you. We'll lay that one on the table pending further investigation. And there's policy number 106, which is the waiving of fees and charges for coronavirus or COVID-19, the assistance policy, which we no longer need, hopefully. Somebody like to move that we rescind this policy? Councillor Bonaventura moves, seconded by Councillor Mann. Councillor Bonaventura.
I don't need to speak too much, Your Worship. We brought that policy in to assist our businesses during a period of hardship. With the government reducing all those regulations now, there is no lockdowns at this stage, as you said. So I see there's definitely no need for this policy to continue, so happy to support it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bonaventura. Speaker against? Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. Thank you. Capital Works. The Capital Works monthly review for June 2022. Director.
Thank you, Your Worship. Presenting the Capital Works monthly report for June. As we always do, we'll start off with safety. We had no lost time injuries during the month, which is good to see. In terms of performance spend, we have achieved just over 10 million in the month of June, which puts us at 94.2 million, which is approximately 17 million below the budget for the year, placing it as around 84.5% delivered against the budget. Quite a lot of projects outlined in terms of the report, but good to see we've had 29 completed and closed off during the month of June. A lot more than a normal month, so that's good to see, and quite a lot in progress. There are a lot of projects, I suppose, highlighted in the report for people to read, but just bringing your attention to electronic page 231, the PMO report. We did a visit really to benchmark against some other councils in the region to Townsville and Cairns with the PMO manager. We met their respective managers and with a view to getting some learnings for our program going forward. So that was a really fruitful trip. We exchanged a lot of information. We were able to see what they're doing and I suppose some of the challenges that they're both facing in this space as well. And we'll bring that back to our capital review that's starting at the moment and kicking off over the next 12 months. And also just to point out to councillors, we're about to appoint, or we have done the assessment and about to appoint a consultant for our capital review project going forward. So that's the implementation phase. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks very much, Director. Questions for the Director on the Capital Works Program? Councillor Bonaventura.
Just one, page 233, under estimating and specification summary report. I see that we're doing some estimates for the Marion State School parking extension. This has been around for a while, and I'd just like to ask, do we have a design? And is it possible to have a look at that, please?
Director.
Yeah, my understanding, Worship, is we do have a prelim design which we can make available.
Thank you very much. That'd be appreciated.
Further questions? No further questions? Would somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor England moves the report's adoption. Councillor Green seconds. Councillor England.
Thank you, Richard. My apologies. I, for the second time this year, failed to save my notes prior to restarting my computer last night. So I've written some hand ones by memory. I invite another councillor to participate because this will be brief. As mentioned by the Director, a very big month, 29 projects completed, another 41 in progress, as stated. 85% below budget target. Variance is mainly due to the ongoing wet weather. supply chain issues which are ongoing, fabrication issues and contractor programs. Just had a query about the Kamala water treatment plant. Again, another one with some supply chain and COVID issues. We're looking to get that done by August this year. The Sydney Street water main replacement, also affected by recent unseasonable weather, and should be also finished this month. And note that the sort of things that we can see happening. The Wallen Street drainage reconstruction looks good, as does the pavilion activity shelter slabs at the riverside, and Seagull Street boat ramp, not long to go on that. So good report, busy month.
Yes.
Capital.
Thanks very much, Councillor Engler. Speaker against? Any other speakers? Councillor Bella speaking for.
Look, while no capital project is any less important than the others, there are a couple that I find are more important. The Kamala water treatment facility, we wait with bated breath. I appreciate all the difficulties. I love driving past, poke my nose through the chain link wire and have a look. People of Kamala who've battled with the damage to their hot water systems and that sort of thing will be very appreciative. The Wallen Street drain, seeing this underway to me is just wonderful. It's been a running story in this town for a long, long time, and I've attended many of the properties backing onto that drain and walked along it and heard their concerns. But to see this happening, it's just great. I understand once again that things can't be done as quickly as they used to be done. To see it's 80% complete, stage 3, is fantastic. And the Kelsey Creek pump station, the people at Midge Point, I kind of feel their pain a bit. A couple of our bores at home have a high manganese content, leave that black lining on everything and black flaking if you haven't used it for a while or if the pump surges or anything like that. So to see the iron and manganese taken out of their water supply and bringing it in under the Australian Drinking Water Guidelines is fantastic. So, yeah, very well done.
Thanks very much, Councillor Bella. Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. Thank you. Community and Client Services, the monthly review for June. Acting Director, welcome.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's my pleasure to present the Community and Client Services report for June. There are 8 safety incidents for the month. We had no lost time injuries. We did finish the financial year with 2 lost time injuries, one in June last year and one in May this year. Safety continues to be a major focus of all programs in the Directorate going forward. One of the main highlights in June was Council's display in the 500 Pavilion during the 3 days of the Mackay show. More than 800 people visited the display, which had a Discover Mackay theme. For the first time, Artspace Mackay helped facilitate the BMA Kids Space outreach art activities as part of our display, and this was thoroughly enjoyed by families with young children. We have a new mobile library gearing up to hit the road. It includes many new enhancements, which will offer improved services to the community. Our mobile library drivers, in conjunction with Council Safety team, have been undertaking a trial parking and safety assessment at each of the stops throughout our vast region. Once this and other checks are completed, it will start making its rounds. It'll be very visible out in the community. It's very hard to miss. YOL 1000, our Youth Out Loud initiative, reached a significant milestone in June with the 1,000th conversation completed. Our community programs team was also pleased to host representatives from the Foundation for the Young Australians in late June. We're supporting a partnership between Council and the Foundation to bring the Young Mayor's pilot program to our region. Our Responsible Pet Ownership online campaign, run in conjunction with annual pet registration notices, was another feature of the month and generated a positive response from the community. Other highlights range from the celebration of the Serena Women's Awards to an exhibition in the Jubilee Community Centre in recognition of men's health. Thank you, Mayor and Councillors. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Acting Director. Questions for the Director? No questions. We're letting him off lightly for his first meeting at Council. So if there's no questions, would somebody like to move the report's adoption? Councillor Townsend moves, seconded by Councillor Hassan. Councillor Townsend.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was prepared for this one. I had the privilege to attend several community events during the month of June, which highlighted some of the great programs and people that we have within our community. two enthusiastic and talented young women, Talia and Molly, from the Foundation for Young Australians, gave us an enthusiastic and informative introduction to the Young Mayor's pilot program, which is coming to our region. This program, designed to provide a pathway for young people aged 12 to 17, will introduce youth to the democratic processes and position them to be decision makers on issues that will impact their future. I, along with several other councillors, were proud to represent council at the Reconciliation Week Bridge Walk on the 2nd of June. It was a perfect day for a lovely walk along the bridge, and it was great to be part of a large number of people representing our Indigenous community. I did attend the Serena Women's Award, and we celebrated some of the amazing women who are champions within their local community. A great afternoon, which saw mother and daughter team deservedly being awarded the prestigious Mary Malone Award for their tireless work in raising awareness and fundraising efforts for epilepsy. Mackay Men's Health Exhibition was held at the Jubilee Centre, which quite a few of us attended. This is such an important program for the males within our community. The theme for this year was building healthy environments for men and boys, and highlighted mental health and breaking down the stigma of men sharing and seeking help to support not just physical but emotional health. Great to welcome 30 representatives from groups and speakers who shared their journey of mental health and offers of support. I will touch on the library again. We've got this wonderful state-of-the-art mobile library, which has replaced our old girl, that gave us 23 years of faithful service. There will be free Wi-Fi and 2 public laptops for our members to use. And still on libraries, KPIs provided shows we are well on target to achieve our annual membership achievement of 54,500. We're currently sitting on 52,258, and library loans are well on target to achieve 1 million, with loans currently sitting at 866,948. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Townend. Speaker against? Any other speakers? Councillor Green speaking for.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. So I'd like to speak to the sport and recreation highlights in this month's report. Queensland Academy of Sport was in Mackay in the middle of June to identify young Queenslanders as part of the U432 talent identification program for the upcoming Olympic Games in 2032. So the QAS has a very ambitious target of identifying testing 20,000 individuals over the next 2 years, and they'd like to identify 400 to 500 young athletic Queenslanders to add to the 454 athletes already in the QAS stable. So it was really pleasing to see that we had 70 participants in June down at the Mackay Basketball Indoor Stadium to participate in that program, and hopefully a few of them got into the program. Also, we saw Sport and Recreation staff assist the facilitation of a regional development camp at the Mackay Arc on June 25th, and this attracted 50 athletes and coaches to the region. And on the 14th of June, I had the pleasure, along with Councillor Englert and Councillor Hassan and our Acting Manager of Community Lifestyle, and also some consultants, to visit the Queensland Academy of Sport High Performance Centre in Brisbane. And this is part of our the development of our own high performance centre, and I found this immensely valuable to see what inclusions we do need, what are the nice to haves, but and what are the operational and logistical requirements for establishing our own high performance centre here in Mackay for Brisbane 2032 Olympics, but also the legacy beyond that. So a very valuable trip, and we also visited Oz Cycling on that trip as well, and we saw the fantastic infrastructure out there at the Anamias Velodrome, so well worth the journey. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Green. Are there any other speakers? Councillor May speaking for.
Just a couple of points that I'd like to highlight, Your Worship. Firstly, to congratulate you and the Council on taking up the Foundation of Youth and Australian Young Mayors pilot program. When Councillor Mann and I attended the Civic Leaders Conference a couple of weeks ago, youth was part of the agenda, and we had discussions around the table. And I know the table that I was at, that council here, our council is certainly leading the way in the youth engagement space. We think that you know, we place an importance of hearing the voices of young people, and I think, you know, getting that program here, pilot program, is absolutely commendable. The other shout out that I wanted to do was around the Youth Out Loud 1000. This program has been in existence for a little while now. It's been a collaboration mainly between Greater Whitsunday communities and the council, and there's been other support from different organisations as well. But there's been a small number of people that have carried out those surveys of young people from across the breadth of our Mackay region, making sure that we capture not just young people, but people that are disadvantaged, people that may be suffering from a disability, a whole range of people, to get their thoughts around the engagement of those collective voices. And I look forward to receiving the finalised report on that. I think there will be some very valuable information in there for us. And the other shout out that I wanted to do was for Beryl and Charlotte Nielsen, who took out the Mary Malone Award at the Serena Women's Awards. There was a great group of women from the Serena district that were nominated for awards, and well deserving, but Beryl and Charlotte certainly stood out in the work that they have done in raising awareness around epilepsy and raising funds. So congratulations to them.
Thank you very much, Councillor May. Any other speakers? No other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. Thank you. 11.4.1 is the vegetation vandalism, an extremely significant case at Hay Point. It's really disappointing to see this come onto the agenda yet again. This particular one has been going on for a long time. CEO, is there anything you wish to say to this?
No.
No? Are there questions? Councillor Angler.
2 questions, Your Worship. Is this the second or third incident at this location?
Fourth.
It's been going on for about 4 or 5 years, yes.
Okay, thanks. And like once we got the pictures, one could assume that it looks from certain angles as though the area next to the sign was cleared because the sign was there. I noticed that they were saying we're keeping the sign there longer, but does the policy allow for further signage to be?
Well, that's a good question. CEO?
I'm not as familiar as the director with the
Director?
policy.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. We might have to take that one on notice. I'm sure that if we felt that that would make an impact to further work, that would be something that we could look at. But I would have to go back to the officers on the ground and see whether they thought that would be a worthwhile way forward to address this ongoing issue.
I'll vote on the policy as it is, Your Worship, but I would like us to potentially look at what that looks like.
And I think that could be something that comes back to the table for a briefing. Because certainly, whilst the officer's recommendation has to be supported in this, there has to be some sort of recompense for this. Is the 4th or the 5th time that it's come to the council in terms of us providing direction on the policy. So can we do that?
We can do that.
Okay. The officer's are there further questions? So the officer's recommendation, we undertake media, leave the damaged vegetation in place, replant at the rate of 3.1, that is 15 plants, 3 to 1, restart the 5-year timeframe, and monitor the site with the regular site inspections. Somebody like to move? Councillor May moves. Councillor Townsend seconds. Councillor May.
Thank you very much, Worship. As we've just said, this is extremely disappointing that this keeps occurring in the same place year after year. You know, when you look at the photographs that accompanied the report, there is trees that are this high that are dead. There are trees that we have just planted in recently that are dead. And it's just really a blatant disrespect for the environment and abusing the resource, you know, like the wasting council's money, if you like, of having to go back and replant these trees again. The signage, and I totally agree with Councillor Inglett's question around we need to be thinking beyond what the policy is actually stating, and some discussion around that, it would be welcome, but fully endorse the officer's recommendation here.
Thanks, Councillor May. Speaker against? Any other speakers? Councillor Bella speaking for.
It seems to me that when you look at the history of this, that someone is questioning our resolve, and I've for a long time said that we need to display faith in our own policies and in what we do, whether it be this, our planning or anything like that. If we've got a policy there, we stick to it. In this case, fourth occasion, I had that thought probably at the same time as Councillor Englert, and I agree wholeheartedly. Unless, of course, we can find out who did it, I believe we need to basically put signage across that whole area. The worst part is that the time these plants that have been killed were, as someone said, about this high. They've done the hard yards. Like, establishing a plant is difficult in an environment like that. So, we're starting from scratch again. And to just go through the same process again with that single signage, I feel is just encouraging another attempt. So I commend staff on doing it, and I actually think that we as councillors should back them up and have discussions about maybe strengthening our rules.
Thanks very much, Councillor Baba. Any other speakers? Councillor speaking for.
Thank you, Worship. Look, Council maintains vegetation programs across our 32 foreshores for the reason that we are consistently battling our community's risk towards being, basically washed into the ocean. We put this stuff here to hold the dunes together in the interest of all of our communities, because once the ocean starts encroaching on properties, it's going to cost the ratepayers millions of dollars to start working with that. And I agree with Councillor Bell. I get the feeling that whoever's doing this is potentially they aggravated us, a bit of tit for tat perhaps, but this is money spread across. The cost is spread across all ratepayers, from Kamala to Midge Point, and the city centre for this. And I suggest that Council's resolve based on the policy is stronger than this individual's.
Thanks very much, Councillor Englert. Are there any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. 11.4.2, the closure of vehicle access within... sorry, Councillor Mann, you're going to step out. Thank you. Within Lot 70 on SB 315437, the reserve for environmental purposes of East Point. And this whole report has come to us again in its entirety. We dealt with this last time, so I don't intend to take that motion in terms of the officer's recommendation, because we have dealt with that. I believe there's an alternative motion. I'm happy to accept the alternative motion first up.
Happy to move an alternate motion, Your Worship.
Would you like to move that now?
Yes, is it up on the screen? Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. So if I may speak to it, Your Worship?
Yes. Well, hang on.
Need a seconder.
I thought you were going to read it out. So has everybody got a copy of that?
It has been circulated
of
to
that
all
motion?
councillors.
Okay, so everybody understands that alternative motion? Thank you. Would somebody like to second it? Councillor Englert seconds. Councillor Bonaventure.
Thank you, Your Worship. Your Worship, following on from this being laid on the table, this item has been subject to further investigation and council briefings. And I thank staff for the work they have done in answering questions relating to the access to East Point. Councillors, this amendment is drafted as a solution that will bring middle ground solution to the issue of access to East Point. In the lead up today, we have been updated on the conditions of approval that require ongoing access to the Pioneer River mouth during the construction period of all stages. We've also received legal advice on the usage of East Point reserves for vehicle access. We have discussed and explored options for providing alternate access to the Pioneer River mouth. We all understand that East Point is a popular location for Mackay community, and as a location for land-based fishing and enjoying the coastal location. We're also aware that over time, the vehicle access has caused damage to the foredune, impacting on coastal flora and fauna and turtle nesting sites. Closing vehicle access altogether may be a solution, but I believe it's not in the best interest of the region. And when I look at the aerial photo from my maps, showing the number of vehicles parked at the river mouth, obviously they're for fishing purposes. Can I also add to that the fact that our land-based fishing brochure states that East Point, the mouth of the river, is an ideal place to go fishing. This amendment seeks to keep access open where possible, while recognising the developers need to commence revegetation of Lot 70. Your Worship, As I said earlier, I have circulated this amendment to councillors, so I don't intend to read it verbatim, but simply to ask for their support on its approval.
Thanks very much, Councillor Bonaventura. Speaker against? Any other speakers? Okay, Councillor Jones.
Yes.
Thanks, Councillor Jones. Are there any other speakers? Councillor England speaking for.
Brief, Your Worship, thank you. It's been very unhelpful that the state government decided to give this public land to a developer. However, the developer's done nothing wrong. We need to find a way to protect the turtles and the foreshore, as well as maintaining access to the fishing public. So to that end, until we find a proper solution, I support the alternate motion.
Thanks very much, Councillor England. Any other speakers? I commend the alternate motion, councillors. We are required, of course, to, if we're going against an officer's recommendation, to give reasons. I think the reasons, particularly the ones, the community historical connection, and also the fact that East Point, under 2015's DA 008, the access had to be granted to East Point. So I think that's reason enough to back up this alternative motion. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Let's move on to 11.4.3, the application for public art at Camilleri Street Skate Park. Can we get Councillor back? Very good. So we're well aware of the background of this. There is an officer's recommendation that I'd like to test first of all, because it's the first recommendation that's come to council like this, and that council supports the application for the installation of art in the public space, namely the installation of a mural at the Camilleri Street Skate Park, being referred to as the Visual Arts Advisory Committee, for consideration as part of the council's public art approval process. Are there questions around this? Somebody like to move that? Oh, sorry. Yes, we do have some public speakers to this. So before we put that motion and before we ask questions, we do have Anita Laura here. And Anita, the rules of engagement here are: you have 3 minutes. This is not a debate. You have 3 minutes to present to council whatever you'd like to present, and then we'll carry on with our deliberations. Thank you. Over to you. Yes.
Thank you, councillors, for your time. I'm here as a local artist wanting to see a placemaking mural happen at the Camilleri Street Skate Park. The intention of this mural is to brighten the space and see a mural with sort of themes of connection in that place. As you're aware, there was unfortunately miscommunication. I was in contact with the Skateboard Association, and they had told me the arts approvals had gone through, so I began the work and then found out, oh no, the arts approvals have not gone through. So I halted at that point in time, paused the mural project to make sure the proper steps had been followed. What happened there was I had discussed concept, my CV, safety, risk assessment points with the committee, but because they were back and forth between members, one of them gave me the go-ahead. It was unfortunately miscommunicated to me. All of us are really sorry, and I have no intention of doing the wrong thing or starting nobody along the way there wanted to do the wrong thing with that mural. We just, unfortunately it is the way it was. And I apologize to have begun the work. Next time, obviously, I want to specifically cast eyes on that approval before I begin. I'm frustrated that didn't happen. The other miscommunication was around the intention of the mural. So this mural was just a placemaking mural, but there's confusion whether this is a memorial or a placemaking. So there was a young lad up in Northern Beaches that passed away, William Baker. The surf life-saving community and the skate community sort of came together and wanted to host events for him. There was a GoFundMe that started, and the skate community said, let's rename the park the William Baker Memorial Park, and they held a memorial event at the skate park, and there was a paddle out event held by the Surf Life Saving Club. So those events happened. When the family was money was poured into a GoFundMe. When the family was consulted, they said, look, we're not chasing any kind of memorial. We would just love to, they were overwhelmed with the response. They said, look, so overwhelmed, love the generosity that community members have shown. We're not actually we don't want to chase any memorial type stuff. We just love to see that money go back into community improvements. So this is where I came along, as we had talked previously. Like the Sugar Bowl looks great with the skateboard theme murals throughout the Sugar Bowl. The Camilleri Street one is just a blank canvas, so there was talk of just getting that space brightened up. So if you look at the image of the mural, you'll see there's no reference to William's face, William's name. It is a skateboard themed mural with beach themes. It's got constellations in the night sky, kind of the idea of we're all like a light connected one to another. That's sort of the theme and concept of the mural. As obviously the family didn't actually want anything, they didn't want to walk past there and see, they just said, we'd love to see this money go back into community. And that's where, obviously, I can understand how as soon as you go into that memorial side of things, there's a whole other, I was only aware of an art approval being needed.
Thanks.
And I could understand.
Anita, thank you. You've, I know you 3 minutes, I think you've done that. Thank you very much. Okay, are there questions? CEO, is there anything you'd like to add here?
Thank you, Your Worship. I would like to maybe just introduce this report, if I may. The Thank you, Anita, for the words that you've shared. A key purpose of this mural for us is really bringing young people together within that community, and it does help them to process their feelings in the wake of losing a friend. I'd just like to point out that we have seen time and time again the positive impact that art projects can have on communities in the wake of something like this, and particularly within recovery processes. A particularly good example that comes to mind is the community art projects that followed in the 2018 bushfires. I appreciate that in this instance process has not been followed due to a misunderstanding. However, the artist has since sought to rectify this and has stopped works that were in progress and brought an application forward now for approval. The design of the mural itself does not reference any individual in any way, and I understand it is the family's strong wish as well that this is not considered a memorial of any sort. The artist's intention for the mural is to create a sense of belonging and connection for young people in the community to utilise the skate park. And I would like to highlight a really important part of this is increasing the feelings of pride and stewardship that young people in the community will have now towards this facility, reducing therefore any potential instances of future vandalism and greater care for our infrastructure that's placed there. The installation of the mural comes at no cost to council, and we don't believe there will be any increase in operational costs as a result either. To close, I would just like to say that the design of the mural does reflect its location in a skate park, and it is mine and officers' recommendation and opinion that's an appropriate mural in an appropriate place, and we would recommend that council support this application for the installation of public art.
Thank you, CEO. Other questions? Councillor Angler.
Your Worship, the report referenced the misunderstanding 3 times. The CEO has just referenced it. Did council at any point have direct communication with the Skateboard Association in reference to this misunderstanding?
CEO.
Thank you, Worship. Not to my knowledge. The misunderstanding I was referring to was more on the part of the artist, believing that approval had been forthcoming.
So, several references. One would consider that to be hearsay and irrelevant in the report. The fact that there's been a reference to a misunderstanding which no one can corroborate other than someone said it was a misunderstanding. So I'm asking, do you think that the use of that word so many times, it sort of insinuates that councillors should be, it sort of suggests that we should be looking at that as a major factor in our consideration, where in actual fact we can't even demonstrate factually that a misunderstanding actually occurred, and particularly, and not particularly with council or any other agency.
Yeah, I agree. That's a fair point. From all of the conversations that I've had with parties involved, I genuinely believe there has been a misunderstanding here of the process, which everyone has since sought to rectify. So I suppose repeating that within the body of the report was intended just to highlight that if councillors' issue is in fact with the process not being followed, that we think in this instance there is potentially a reason for that to have occurred. And since that understanding has been corrected, all efforts have been put in place to follow the process.
Thank you, Councillor Bella.
Mine's more a clarification and elaboration on Councillor Englert. So we've got this 3 times misunderstanding. We've got the artist saying that she was told by the Skateboard Association or by someone in the association that the approval was achieved, and yet I'm hearing there was no approach whatsoever. Those things to me just don't add up at all. You know, why would they say something when they hadn't even applied? Why would someone say that it had gone ahead? You know, I really query what gave them the impression that they were going to get an approval when they hadn't even applied. And I'm afraid that's a big sticking point for me.
So yeah,
I can't answer.
Okay, Councillor Mann.
Can I just ask what community consultation was actually done in regard to the mural?
See, I'm just speaking secondhand on this, but I understand that young people have been consulted within the community. I don't know if the Director has more specific knowledge on the consultation that was taken and considered to that.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. That is also my understanding, and is that there had been consultation with the local users of the park. I'm not sure to what extent that occurred, and I don't have any specific detail.
But it wasn't the council committee.
No, it wasn't with the
The
council.
council consultation. Are there further questions? No further questions? All right, would somebody like to move the officer's recommendation? Councillor May move, seconded by Councillor Green. Councillor May.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I'd just like to start by referencing part of the application where the artist who has submitted this application, the mural will help to build, to create a better sense of belonging and connection to the skate area, particularly targeting the involvement of the skate park users and their families, and will increase a sense of belonging and stewardship of the space. I think that in itself, to me, highlights exactly the purpose of this mural going forward. It also, in the application, references our arts and culture plan by creating vibrant spaces, and it also references the corporate plan by increasing the use of skate park by regional residents, encouraging a space that young people feel connected to, and encouraging an active lifestyle with the use of park facilities. So that in itself, you know, those particular highlights that the applicant has mentioned really resonate with me. And the other part there that is in the report is around the consultation with the local community members and the park users. Wasn't something that council undertook, but the artist has undertaken that consultation. I just want to then further say around our council's role is about working with people in the community, for the community, to make the community a better place for people to live. The empowering of people to have a voice and to be able to have that voice heard at our table is really important to me. Fostering grassroots action is really council's role and responsibility, and we should be encouraging this at all measures to be able to do that. As a local government, we play a key role in provision of infrastructure and advocacy and facilitating the local economic and social development opportunities. This is one of those opportunities I see. Our corporate plan outlines key objectives in the social and community development space. If we look at our pillars, live and visit, we talk about places and spaces, we talk about community participation, and we talk about an active lifestyle. To me, this ticks all those boxes. Community and environment, we look at safe and healthy, engaged region. Arts, culture and heritage, again, ticks those boxes. Operational excellence, community and customer focused. So this is a good place making project for the community to be able to really bring to life our corporate plan pillars.
Thanks, Councillor May. Speaker against? Councillor Hassan speaking against.
Your Worship, I have forwarded around to everybody an alternative motion.
Okay, so you okay.
Speaking to that.
We've got to test this one first before we take an alternative motion. Are there any other speakers against? Councillor Bell speaking against.
I have a number of reasons why I'm speaking against this. Firstly, it's all very well to talk about corporate plans and whatever, but we have a process. And the process is there for a very good reason. And many, many times, the thing that really kicks the legs out from under us is the times that we give certain bodies the opportunity to go ahead. Well, it happens, we don't give them, they go ahead, they do what they do, and then they apologise later. This is one of those cases. If this is to teach our young, you know, and bring them in, let's teach them the right process. I have severe questions, as I said, about the process and you know, what went on with this. But what we've got to understand is consultation, like, it's up to us to consult with the wider community, not just the community that use the skate park. And what I've got to say here is that while there's been denials, this was first brought to us as a memorial. There's this all-pervasive, it's a memorial thing happening. Now, someone died in this accident, and it's tragic. However, this was not a single faceted accident. This was an accident that involved two other people, one of whom went to work and through no fault of their own were involved in this accident. The other, who went to for recreation, was in the same vehicle and was involved through no fault of their own. They're still living with this, and I go back to my medical days, you know, first of all, do no harm. Now, while this is not in front of us as a memorial, there is a community acceptance that it is indeed a memorial. We're going to think about the impacts of the other people that were involved in this. You know, people whose lives, I'll hazard a guess, are nowhere near back to normal, whose lives were, through no fault of their own, impacted in a hideous way, and they may well deal with this for the rest of their lives, and the people around them may well deal with this. So from my point of view, unless someone can convince me that this memorial won't impact those left behind in an adverse way, because we're talking about it impacting some other people in a positive way, unless I can get that assurance, I'm afraid I cannot support the original motion.
Okay, Speaker 4. Councillor Green speaking for.
Yes, thank you. Your Worship, Council has an obligation and duty to respond to community needs, and there are planning frameworks, local laws and policies that guide the decision-making process to ensure the best outcomes for our community. But life's not black and white, and the elected arm of Council is here to make considered, fair and reasonable decisions when we move into the grey. And in my opinion, there are 3 key points to focus on in this report today. The first is that the artists and the others involved in the artwork knew they had to follow Council's processes and have an approval for the application for this public artwork. There was never any intention to not follow this process. That's my belief. Unfortunately, a misunderstanding between the key stakeholders, as we've discussed on the project, resulted in the incorrect assumption that the relevant approvals had been granted. The key point here is that once the artist was made aware that there was no approval for the artwork, she ceased all work immediately. They engaged fully with Council staff to follow due process and to immediately rectify the mistakes that were made. Any argument that this will set a precedent, in my opinion, is null and void. It's important to restate the critical point that the project stakeholders in this case did believe they were following Council's processes. There was no ill intent to create unapproved public art at any point in this project. The second point to consider is the utter waste of community resources, time and energy if this artwork were to be removed and the process started over again. The Northern Beaches community raised these funds. They paid for the paint, they paid for the preparation of the wall, and the in-kind work by the artist would normally incur a substantial fee. All of these funds and this time and effort would need to be raised again on top of the resources required to remove the artwork if that were to be the case. Every cent of these donated public funds would be completely wasted for the sake of a very low risk that it might set a precedent. And I think my third point is that a key value of Council is to care and serve. Our corporate plan states that Council is committed to working with the community to create a supportive and safe environment for its residents. Our community has spoken loud and clear to us through this mural, and we need to listen to them. The Northern Beaches community have created a really beautiful, positive, community-led project that will help a vulnerable cohort of young people come together in positive ways and talk about hard subjects. The artwork is skate culture appropriate, it's fitting for this space, and the community represents it. And the community it represents. And there's no doubt that it has the absolute deep support and stewardship from the community in which it resides. It's my opinion that to remove this artwork would be a punishment to this community. It would add to the trauma of the local youth and a sense of loss, and would be a complete waste and disregard of the community donated resources that have been raised to date and used. I've been really proud to serve on this council because of our ability to lead with care, to lead with flexibility and to lead with compassion. It's my opinion that retrospectively approving this mural that ordinarily would have been approved for public art with flying colours is the most reasonable outcome for the entire community, and it supports this council's reputation as a caring, agile and community-focused organisation.
Thanks, Councillor Green. Speaker against? Councillor Anglin speaking. I've got yours, Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Your Worship. This mural is here because somebody passed away It's been used as a memorial. The family didn't commission it. We can't say to our residents and ratepayers that if you want to bypass very lengthy council approval processes, all you have to do is go and do what you want and then ask for forgiveness afterwards. That does set a precedent, and I understand that it's very emotive. Council does work in the grey. That's what council's role is. But on this situation, we have very, very practical processes in place for memorials and public art. Young people can have all of the things mentioned today, and they can do it better if more of them included. Right now, if we pass this, the artist and the Skateboard Association get what they want. What about the rest of the community? There's been reference to the rest of the community, but as far as I can see, only an individual and one association's been involved in the entire process. So, and it's not just Northern Beaches. Other communities will visit the Northern Beaches skate parks, from the city centre to Kamala. Everybody should have a say. Council conducts consultation at length. This been, I think, the strength of this council over the last 6 to 8 years is its improvement of its public consultation. Going out and making sure this is what people want. All we know is we're sure that an individual and an association are getting what they want out of this one, and so I can't support the motion. We have to go back and start again. Let's go and engage all of the youth groups from all of the areas and make sure everybody has something that everybody wants, not just two cohorts.
Thanks, Councillor. You got speaker 4? Are there any other speakers? Councillor Jones? Yes. Thanks very much, Councillor Jones. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Bonaventura? Councillor Bonaventura, are you speaking?
Against, Your Worship, but just quickly, and I appreciate the sentiment from Councillor Green in relation to her thoughts. I sat here in this very chambers when we had an application, a properly submitted application for the Blackburn family. And I had to make a decision based on our policy. And the policy says there's no memorial as such. And as much as we're saying this isn't a memorial, I believe it is. I agree with Councillor England. And I think it just needs to go back to the drawing board and let's start again. So I'm sorry if I can't support the motion.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Bonaventura. Are there any other speakers? Councillor Mann, speaking.
Against. Right. So for me, I haven't heard how there's been any extensive community consultation about this, and that's one of the criteria. I haven't heard how anybody came to council in the first instance and asked. There was other associations involved, but nobody came to council. And a quick Google search on our website, quick search on the website would have told people how to go about public art. So, and I've known of other groups that had to jump through hoops, and it looked like in some cases the project wasn't going to proceed because they did everything the right way. So I'm sorry, but I can't support this application.
Thanks, Councillor Mann. You want to sum up, Councillor Mann?
Right, I'll reply. Thank you, Your Worship. There seems to be a bit of conjecture around whether this is a memorial or not, and it's very subjective. And people's opinions are not what we're here to discuss. We're here to discuss the application, a very well-made application, although it was come after the event had already started. And we recognise that. The artist recognises that and sincerely apologises for the mix-up. I think in regards to the officers carrying out their assessment, they have done their due diligence on this. They would not put forward a report with a recommendation of approval if they had not have done their due diligence in that assessment of this project. We talk about precedences and we talk about policies. I think it was not so very long ago, Your Worship, that came before this council, a planning approval where the building had already been built, but council seemed fit to be able to see that that was okay and give an approval for that planning approval. So I think if we want to stick to the rules, let's stick to the rules. But if we're going to be a fair and reasonable council, we're going to be open to what the people want and be hearing what the people want. I think there needs to be some flexibility, and that's what we've always said as a council. There is always that grey area, and we really should be supporting this, because to not support this, to go out to the Northern Beaches at Camilleri Park and paint over that mural will be one of the biggest mistakes this council makes.
The motion, those in favour? Any against? The motion's lost. The alternative motion, Councillor Hassan, you've got an alternative motion. Happy to accept that now. The alternative motion up there is that council does not support an application for the installation of art in a public space for the already created mural at Camilleri Street Skate Park, given that it was created without approval and in doing so would seen as a precedent for future activities by the community. Further, that the artwork created is removed by council, following which a fresh application can be lodged if desired, following the standard application of art in a public space process. You moving that, Councillor?
Yes, Your
Seconder? Councillor Bellick? Councillor Hassan?
Thank you, Worship. I thank Ms Kroger for her retrospective application and also for coming on to speak to council today. But as we've just heard, on this occasion I am unable to support the officer's recommendations. Everything Councillor May said is correct, in the respect that the application is well made, and if it had been done at the beginning of the process and followed the proper process, I'm sure it would have gone through to the Visual Arts Advisory Committee and gone through. But the very first line of that application for the installation of art in public places states that prior written approval from council must be granted before the installation of any public artwork. This written approval has not been provided by council, and as such the work should never have commenced. There's been constant reference to a misunderstanding by information given by the Skateboard Association. They're referenced in the report, but there has been absolutely no communication with that association. I've not seen any letters of recommendation from them. There's been no communication with them by this council or anyone else here. And we've had that confirmed by the CEO and the director. So if they have provided that information to the artist, why is their support and their understanding of the process and how they misunderstood that process not being communicated to council? The application form also asks what community consultation or engagement processes have been pursued to ensure that there's community support for the artwork or project. And the applicant stated on their application that an extensive consultation with key local stakeholders was undertaken. However, to me it appears that only a small portion of the community, of the people involved with the organisations here, the surf lifesavers, and a small portion of the skateboarding community. Council would normally undertake a much wider community consultation with people that live in the area and other skate park users from other areas of the region, not just those that live locally. So I do question whether wider community consultation would have supported the actual artwork that's been proposed on this occasion. I have no objection whatsoever to a public art installation being installed in the Camilleri Street Park, but like all other installations, it needs to follow council's process and be an art piece approved by both the Visual Arts Advisory Committee and the community.
Thanks very much, Councillor Hassan. Speaker against? Are there any other speakers? You're speaking against, Councillor Green?
I'll speak against. Look, I have said everything I need to say, but I'll just reiterate Karen May's sentiments.
Councillor May's.
Oh, sorry, Councillor May's sentiments. If this amended motion were to be passed, I see it as a lose-lose. It's a lose for this community, it's a loss for this community, and it's a loss for this council's reputation as a community-focused, caring, compassionate and agile organisation. Thank you.
Are there any other speakers? Councillor Bella speaking for.
I hear the words caring and compassionate used an awful lot, but I want to know, rhetorical question, who bothered to ring the driver of the bus? Who bothered? If we're consulting with the community is not one large homogenous group. It's made up of different individuals with different concerns, different problems, different feelings. Who called the driver? I did, or as close as I could. Who called the passenger? Who called the family? And try as we might, the fact that this is a memorial is inescapable. So all I'm saying is, let's consult with all of the community. Compassion is not something you direct one way at the utter neglect of someone else that may need it to a massive degree. Again, until I can be assured that this does no harm, until I can be assured of that, I'm against it. So let's show the compassion that's spoken about. Let's show the care. And let's find out from everyone involved, not just a select group. And until I find that out, if people want to condemn me for standing up for the driver, for the person and maybe the family, I don't know, at the expense of the rest of the community, then so be it. I'll accept that criticism.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Councillor Bella. Are there any other speakers? Councillor May, speaking against. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I really just want to reiterate what I said before. I think that this is a very bad decision that this council's about to make, and that is about not listening to what the community is wanting. The process we've agreed is not being correct, and now that is trying to be rectified. And I think that by taking this final step in this situation is really going to only make things worse. Worse for us as a council, worse for the community. And I come back to nowhere in this application does it say anything about a memorial, and there's lots of assumptions being made around that, and I'm not for one prepared to take a vote on an assumption of what people may or may not choose to read into it. The application was before us, you've seen what was in it, and this is a really poor decision of our council.
Are there any other speakers? Councillor Anglett speaking for.
Yes, thank you, Worship. We are community focused, Your Worship. All of the community. We are focused on all of the community, not just two sections of it. This is a memorial that depicts a likeness to a young fellow who perished, doing something over that individual was famous for doing. The skate park exists because two other young fellas presented to this council with a petition and gave speeches over there about the lack of things for youth. Those two young fellas will never have their name associated to this park or the Sugar Bowl, which they're also responsible for, because our policy doesn't allow it. So here's two young fellas that did all the work and have every right to have their likeness associated with this park, and they never will be allowed to because it doesn't fit our policy. But this is a memorial. It's a likeness to the individual it memorialises. It's doing an act for which that individual is famous for doing.
Thanks, Councillor Anglett. Are there any other speakers? No other speakers. Then I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. Thank you. All right. There's no petitions to receive today. There's a tender for the filter media replacement at the Nebo Road Water Treatment Plant. CEO, is there anything on this? No? No? Any director, you got anything to say about this? No?
Just through your worship, I suppose it's just really just the urgency of the work, so we're getting some breakthrough in our filter media. The intent is to try not to get the work done before we get into our higher use period which starts from September. So bringing this forward, there is a slight budget adjustment from the original estimate, hence the need to come to council to get that future approval. But we obviously want to get the works done, so when we get into that higher flow periods, when we have more turbidity, that we make sure that our filters have been redone and work appropriately for our community.
Right, it's come to council because it's $234,000 or $235,000 over budget. But we are where we are. Are there questions? Councillor Bonamajor.
It wasn't in the agenda unless I've been in the agenda. Must have got the early version. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for the update.
Right. No further questions? Somebody like to move the report's adoption. Councillor Anglett moves, seconded by Councillor Mello. Councillor Anglett.
Thank you, Worship. As mentioned by the Director, there's an ongoing risk to the safe supply of drinking water to our wider community. This is a just over $1 million project now awarded to Water Treatment Australia, who can provide the most advantageous outcome to council in a short period of time.
Okay, thank you. Speak against? Any other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried. Thank you. There's no notified motions, nobody left in the public gallery now, so no public participation. Late business. Councillor Bella.
I've got a few things I want to speak on, and basically use this platform as a way of making people aware of some serious issues. First of all, health. This morning when I collected my mail, as I do once a week, there was a letter there from the government, and as per, I don't know about you guys, but I panic as soon as I get that sort of thing. It was from the health department, however, and being a male and aged as I am, it was to remind me to go for bowel scan. I actually don't go for those. I go for my colonoscopy regularly because of family history. Bowel cancer is a very serious thing and can be almost completely averted if caught early enough. So I would like to say to everyone, male and female, do the scan, do whatever your doctor needs to do, but don't ignore it. The other thing that was very alarming to me to hear late last week, that for the first time deaths due to prostate cancer have overtaken breast cancer. There's no doubting how damaging breast cancer can be, but to actually have something overtake that is quite alarming. Once again, to all the guys out there, get your tests, don't muck around, it's quite serious. Third thing, the COVID surge is worrying when you combine it with flu and RSV. It's not just the fact that Omicron, with its variant 5, has the possibility of reinfecting you within 28 days or less, anecdotally. Long COVID is an issue. I had a conversation with a lady this morning with something you wouldn't think is a result of COVID, but is incredibly debilitating, to be honest. Flu, don't discount that. And RSV, I've got a 4-week-old granddaughter that I have not seen yet, for the simple fact that I try to stay away, give them a chance to get a bit of a start and some immunity before breathing all over them. I don't want to scare the kid either, but she's actually just got out of hospital with RSV because other people didn't have the same inhibitions that I did. RSV is not damaging at all to an adult. Anyone over 5 years, really. It's a sore throat, a bit of a cough and a sniffle for a child under 5 years. And having worked in cardiorespiratory in my past, kids with things like RSV, pertussis, things like that, even croup, it's hideous. So guys, please wear your mask when in a crowded situation. Be careful about who you're going to be in contact with. It's not a joke. And what you've got to consider is if you've had it previously, it can predispose you. Those lingering effects can actually make the second dose worse of something like COVID. The other thing that's extremely disappointing to me, it appears to be the lack of action on foot and mouth disease that has been found in barley. Foot and mouth disease, to put it quite bluntly, could devastate us here in Australia. I don't think we'd ever control it adequately with our feral animal problems. It'll place load not only on, well, it'll send quite a few of us broke, to be honest. It'll place a massive load on council as well. We will have to be part of control measures, having been in close contact with people that were involved with the outbreak and the absolute shocking slaughter that had to go on in Great Britain there 20 years ago. The other thing, for people that think it's just farmers that are going to be affected, anyone that's got a pet, mini pigs, goats, sheep, anything like that, potty calves, they're going to suffer a pretty hideous disease and they will have to be put down. So I'd encourage everyone, if you get an opportunity to spread the word to anyone that's travelling overseas. Our return quarantine measures are awful. We've had a minister refuse to recommend the foot baths, disinfectant foot baths, because a child might fall into it. It's that deep. When you actually belittle the impact of an industry, it's $65 billion we stand to lose. I find that unconscionable. So guys, if you know anyone going to Bali, for God's sake, see if you can encourage them to go elsewhere. And if they're coming back, leave your boots in Bali, eh? Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Bauer. Any other late business? Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Worship. I just want to talk about the morning tea that was held for Murray last Thursday to mark her retirement as the Vegetation Hall manager. So Murray was the manager for over 30 years, I think it was about 35, and retired early this year due to ill health. And Mari's not happy about it, we all know that, because she felt that she just wanted to keep going. She's worked tirelessly for our community, not because she needed to, but because she felt so passionate about the Northern Beaches, but all of our community as well. And she was very humble on the day. She has rung me since to say it was a big surprise. She was very cranky with her daughter for facilitating that, but she was also humbled to be given that certificate of appreciation. As we know, Mari was awarded a Pride of the Region a few years ago, so we couldn't do that again. But it certainly was lovely to be able to mark her time as the hall manager. Not on the same scale as when the hall manager from Seaforth retired, but that was because it was her family's request that it was just a small affair, and yourself and Councillor May also attended, so it was really nice to be able to be there. I do also want to mention the Friends of the MECC barbecue on Saturday. That was to thank our volunteers. From my understanding, there's about 186 volunteers, and certainly I don't believe any other organisation in our region has that many volunteers, and we all know that we couldn't deliver the services we do at MECC without those volunteers. It was really nice to hear that they are still getting new people coming on. We happened to sit with one of those. She's just signed up, and she's very keen to actually be part of what's going on there. And the other thing was the Nodox Street Parade. I think it's probably one of the biggest crowds that I've seen. Just amazing. It was amazing to be there, and I believe that the festivities, the Family Fun Day at the different locations still went off really well. I went back to Developing Northern Australia Conference, but from what I've heard, everybody was really pleased to actually see it there in Jubilee Park, and I think it was very well attended also.
Thanks, Councillor Mann. For the late business, Councillor Green.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Developing Northern Australia Conference was held in Mackay last week from Wednesday to Friday, and we had over 430 delegates from right around the state, around the nation here, from Karratha, from Adelaide, from Victoria, you name it, they were here, and the sun shone, and it was a fantastic event. Deep thanks to the Economic Development Department, who worked closely with the organisers, the conference organisers, to bring a first-class event here. Also the MEC staff, that really was just an incredible venue to hold such a large conference with many breakout rooms as well as functions as well. Also a shout out to the Resource Centre of Excellence. I don't think we've ever had network drinks in an underground mine before, or a simulated underground mine. That was an incredible event, great feedback. And the quality of the conference, the tours, the speakers was first class. I had the absolute privilege of some impromptu tour guiding to the Assistant Minister for WA, Darren West, and also the Assistant Minister for Regional Development, both in Regional Development for Victoria, Danielle Green, and they both just left with an absolute positive impression of the Mackay region. So it was a great event, and well done to our staff for their input. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Green. Councillor Bonadura.
I just want to do a couple of follow-ups. I just want to thank, I agree with Councillor Mann in relation to the MEC event for the volunteers. I just like to thank the MEC staff, because they gave of their time to prepare and serve their volunteers. So it was just a very nice atmosphere. So I agree with Councillor Mann. But also I'd like to support Councillor Balla in relation to the prostrate cancer area. There is, for those that don't know, there is a prostate cancer support group in Mackay. Easily find it by just going to Google. I was lucky enough to be a guest speaker at one of their meetings just recently. They're a lovely group, and yes, I certainly advise men to do the right thing and keep ahead of it. And if you need to, go and visit the prostrate support group.
Thanks, Councillor Bonadura. Any other late business? Yes, CEO. Late business from the CEO. Wow. Okay.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, for indulging me. I have the privilege this morning of recognising a length of service for one of our elected members, and that is for yourself, Mayor.
Oh, really?
That's right. See, I think it's clear your love of and passion for this region is exceptional, and it's my honour this morning to recognise your 12 years in local government. So that's as Alderman first of Mackay City Council, then Mayor of Mackay City Council, and now obviously Mayor of Mackay Regional Council. So on behalf of myself, our elected members, and the directors, please accept this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, does he get a watch or something?
No, not twice.
Not for 12 years.
23.
No, that's only 12. But...
Looking forward to that one.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay, any further late business? No further late business. There's the only one confidential report today is the draft minutes of the Investment Mackay Conference Attraction Program. Is there any requirement to go into a private? No, okay. Would somebody like to move then the draft minutes of the Investment Mackay Events and Conference Attraction Program for the meeting of the 13th of June be adopted? So moved by Councillor May, seconded by Councillor Townsend. Those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. And that's it. Thank you very much, councillors. Thank you, CEO. Thank you, directors. Declare the meeting closed.